I appreciate that. You mentioned something to Senator Dutton with respect to the importance of reducing or limiting the amount of leakage from the state, and primarily looking at, I wrote down the two first things you stated: how allowances are issued and having flexibility into the program. Give me an example of how you might change or do something should you find the economy is still sluggish, staying stubborn, but we can point to some areas where perhaps because of this program it's not working as well. Where do you, a particular area, give me an example of how you might have changed how the allowances are issued. I mean, there's recent articles here recently about some adjustments. What might that be?
Yeah, and very speculative. I need to be very careful on this, but clearly if you look at the staff report, when we did the original regulation, the regulation that the board adopted, there's behind that, thousands of pages of analysis and underlying characterizations, and that includes looking at alternative approaches, including alternative approaches in terms of allocation of allowances. So that report does talk about other options, but with any option, and I think you're getting at this, there are trade-offs and that need to be thought about very, very carefully. So the point that I would make in response to your comment is, first, the fundamental design of the program. We've been very mindful of concerns about economic impacts, mindful of concerns about leakage, and have designed in those considerations. But for the scenario you describe, in spite of all that, there's an issue. First, the ability to do ongoing monitoring, which we're doing very carefully and working with UCs and other institutions and stakeholders, how the program's playing out, and to make sure that it plays out as effectively as was intended. To the extent that there are issues or adjustments over time, we're doing a few things where we are working with stakeholders on some follow-on work on benchmarking. We're doing some follow-on work on leakage. To just, even though we are convinced we've designed the program correctly, it's always smart to continue to explore options and to be ready or mindful in light of scenarios such as you described. So there's work continuing to go on that, as it should.
Flexibility within the program, would you think, having the tracking, measuring, and monitoring if there's any leakage, you feel comfortable that that's enough flexibility? I mean, that's just an oversight mechanism. What type of flexibility is in the current system to be able to move? For example, if the legislature passes a bill for which prescribes how you're going to spend some of the revenue from the auction, how does that provide flexibility to you?
Few things. Legislature, when it ultimately considers an expenditure plan, I think would look at what opportunities are out there to further the goals and benefits of AB 32. Those options could take a range of approaches. They could be further energy efficiency improvement. It could be assistance to industry, for instance, that's making energy efficiency investments. It could be community-based support. So the debate and discussion that takes place through this body when the use of proceeds comes out, when that discussion takes place, I think there are a range of opportunities that will be discussed that one can complement the overall program, the overall goals under AB 32.
So as the legislature wrestles with this spending plan,
yes,
what type of language would you like to see in it that would provide you the flexibility to achieve the goals and benefits of AB 32?
That's one I will have to defer to other folks.
Okay, fair enough. The goals and benefits of AB 32. AB 32 is actually a quite simple piece of legislation. Very important. I support it. The goal is very honorable, and that is and it's simple, it's straightforward. Would you not agree?
It's very clear in terms of the goals, good, no doubt.
So the goal is what?
The goal is to reduce GHG emissions, but to do so in consideration of specific factors concerning impact on business, communities, leakage, and reductions that can ultimately provide benefits and co-benefits to the state.
And that's to reach GHG levels of 1990 levels by 2020.
That's correct.
vast majority of folks I talk to, both in the environmental and in the private sector communities, believe because cap and trade is but one of the instruments the state has to achieve that worthy goal, that because of all the other instruments, that we very well could, in combination with those instruments and simply establishing the cap, could achieve our goal. If that achieves the goal, why the rush to move forward with the trade side, where I feel to a certain degree we're vulnerable for a number of reasons. Primarily, there's a downturn in the economy right now. So it impacts the economy. We don't know, will it increase jobs, decrease jobs? There's a lot of debates on both sides. We know it's going to cost a great deal of money. Furthermore, if you look at the state's general fund right now, there's a significant hole. We saw it this year in the budget where we scored certain dollars from the auction built into our budget. So given these circumstances that we find ourselves in, have you at CARB given any consideration to moving forward with just the cap side and postponing the trading side, given we could literally meet the goal and benefit of AB 32 with all the other instruments and the cap without the trade?
All right. No, that's, and you touched on something that I didn't give a brief mention to, but I think it's really important. Cap and trade, as you noted, is part of a suite of strategies.
Right.
So we have traditional regulations that range from motor vehicle side, refrigerants, a range of strategies to reduce GHG emissions. That's absolutely correct. But as we looked at the establishing a firm cap and the rationale for that, and you're touching on that, and then one of the questions was, how do we design a program and achieve the reductions, but do so in the most cost-effective manner possible and provide the certainty? So as we looked at other programs and we consulted with stakeholders and consulted with experts throughout the country on these issues, the need to couple the trading element and the need to, thank you very much, the need to provide flexibility to industry in terms of options on how they reduce their emissions and options for those that might go further, and there are several that they could turn around, and if they reduce emissions beyond their obligation, have an opportunity to trade, make those allowances available. We believe, just trying to be as clear as I can, that the trading element is a key element to the cap and trade program. We think it provides a necessary flexibility. We think it retains certainty, and we think it allows for the most cost-effective approach to the program.
The most cost-effective component to the program?
As opposed to a straight cap.
Okay. I'd like to further that conversation with you later on. Here's my final question. If the state is going to be able to take some of the auction funds and backfill programs that can be defined as reducing greenhouse gases, yet after hearing, we find that many of those programs are significantly heavy on the admin side, meaning I've seen some programs with anywhere from 20 to 30% of the revenue going to administrative overhead expenses rather than directly reducing or directly having an impact on greenhouse gases. How do you prevent that to bring about the efficiencies for which you just said is in the cap and trade model?
Right. No, and I think that's really important. I think part of that is going to be criteria. What are guidelines? What are the criteria for ultimately awarding proceeds and recommended to this body?
Have you established that criteria yet?
No.
So here's my question as to the rush to move forward with the auction. This November, you're issuing the auction, correct?
That'll be the first auction. That's correct.
That's right.